Okay, so welcome everybody. I'm so happy you're here with us today. I would love to introduce Trish. Trish Devney is the founder of Sound Shifting, is the author of an upcoming book about self-healing, and is also the founder of the Return to Wholeness training program. And I would love for you just to go ahead and say hello, Trish, and let us know a little bit about you and how Return to Wholeness came into being.
Well, as we have discussed in the past, I've been looking forward to having a chat like this, just sitting on the couch with warm tea and talking about things we love. So this is the Zoom version of that experience. Again, my name is Trish Devney, and I've been working with sound, I would say, for 40 years in my profession as an actor, singer, and then I had a healing crisis that brought me to a trajectory in my life I was not prepared for. And yet my world opened up, and it was the world of sound that had provided me with really an understanding of how it's possible to heal. So in my case, I had been told I was dying, and I had 9 months to a year to live. And I picked up a bowl. I started to play the bowl, loved the bowl, bought the bowl, came home with the bowl, played it all the time for no reason except to feel good. Well, within 4 months, I was completely healed of hepatitis C and stage 4 liver disease. So that launched my curiosity, my research, my fascination as to how did this happen. Prior to that, I had been an artistic director of an acting company, and I was, looking for a change in my life. But of course, the disease brought me to my knees and brought me again to a new level of understanding about where I might go with my life. It's one of those happy synchronicities, coincidences, whatever you want to call it, that I stepped into and started to ride the current of that new experience. So over the years, I have been teaching people to work with sound, um, opening up their bodies, their voices, working with the crystal bowls. That was another discovery within 2 years of my healing. I had been introduced to then the crystal bowls. So my first bowl was a beautiful little 8-inch Tibetan bowl. But then I had the great fortune of meeting up with people who were playing with other bowls, and those bowls that were available then were the white quartz frosted bowls. So I played those for a while and kept working and researching and learning. And then the alchemy came into my life. The alchemy, as I describe them, and as crystal tones would describe them, are gemstone, metal, and mineral infused quartz crystal bowls. So the alchemy uses a higher grade quartz than these white frosted bowls. So I was finding a distinctive difference in how the alchemy bowl was influencing my body, which was bringing me to yet another level or layer of discovery about sound and what's possible with sound. Along with that, my voice kept changing. My voice kept commingling with the bowl in new ways. So there were layers of new information I was beginning to uncover in myself. Layers I would happily say now had always been there. I just didn't know what I knew. So, but along the line, working with so many people, I had seen how bifurcated we are, how disconnected most of us are between with our bodies and our voices. So there were ways that people would begin to understand sound from a mental perspective, but didn't know how to land that experience of who they are through sound in their bodies. So I eventually decided that there has to be, we have to have a new approach. We can't be doing this intellectually. I would sit in conferences and summits and workshops, weekend retreats. We would have very minimal interaction, A, with sound, and B, with movement. Well, my acting training brought me to a whole, sort of paved the way for me to have a new experience with how to move with sound and embody sound. So that carried over quite naturally into this new awareness that why does the actor get to be the only one who uses these tools to come to deeper awareness of the human condition? In fact, the most interesting character I ever developed was myself. so I don't act anymore. My focus is only on myself. Now, I know that sounds a little selfish, but I invite you to be that selfish as well, to focus on yourself as a walking symphony of sound and movement, and that the sound of your voice has the capacity to bring music to everyone and everywhere, that the movement of your body is a dance in rhythm and in sequence with Mother Nature herself. All of that is our artistry. So I created an experience where I could cover the various modalities of what it takes to be, in my definition, in a state of wholeness or well-being. So the focus isn't so much about healing something or learning to heal something, but instead more about embodying the innate wisdom and connection to the generating energy of source that exists for us all the time, everywhere, and in any degree we're willing to slurp off of its essence. So that's what I created with the Return to Wholeness experience. So that in the first modality, we're working with what I call the sensational body, where we're really embodying sound and experiencing ourselves in a new way, having a new relationship, using sound to foster that new relationship, one that nourishes us and opens us to layers and levels of innate understanding unique to each individual. And then the second module explores voice. So really we focus on opening that voice. Now that we've embodied that voice, we're now opening and tailoring and using that voice to expand not only the wisdom, but also our direction of how we send information, how we receive information, how our bodies are and voices are integrally connected to each other in terms of health and wellness. And then finally, language, which is that long overlooked aspect of sound as a healing modality. So language is one of our key ways that we direct information. And so we learn how to use those signatures, how to use language, how to become more of a conscious language user. Because every word we speak is our radiance, is our music, but it also ensouls and invigorates everything in our lives that we walk into, whether it's in a negative polarity or a positive polarity, it doesn't matter. Whatever we say is, and it lives on and on and on. So those are the overview of the three modalities through which all of it, we have the sound support of the alchemy crystal singing bowl. So we will be working with how to use those, not so much as a focus of the training, but as an aspect of the training. So yeah, that's an overview for sure.
I love when you're speaking, it reminds me that you often talk about, what is the purpose of this training being tuning the human instrument and just going back to, we have the bowls as a tool, but we often forget that we are the instrument for the divine itself.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
how you were talking about in the beginning, where we do have these distortions and these layers of separation and all of these learned conditioned patterns. And can you just talk a little bit about how, when we step into this container and do this work, how it really does help return us to that state of wholeness, and how we are these practices that you bring from your acting background and throughout your own sort of healing journey, and they all coalesce in these experiential experiences that, as you said, take us through the body, take us through the voice, help us be really conscious of our words and how we're choosing and using them.
Mm. Great question. And yes, it is about tuning the human instrument, and understanding that we are to look within. And I have heard that all my life. And I never knew where within was. I would look for, was it a body part? Is it an area? I was always outside of myself looking in, and never understood how to experience myself, how to feel myself from that inner landscape. So, and what that instrument can, the music that instrument can make. Through our lives, we develop preferences and perceptions that are fed to us through our environment, our family members, our institutions, our cultures, and those become embedded in the neural network. Now, there's ample science that help us understand how those experiences are etched in our network. What I discovered in my healing journey was how sound is able to unravel, in some cases, trauma triggers, and able to override cognition that allows us to reframe an experience, and utilize through conscious language and open tone how we're resetting the frequency in the inner realms in our bodies, because our tendency is to want to change from the intellectual understanding of disturbance, disorder, distress. But that can only bring us to a certain level. If we're not changing the dynamic energetically, we are forever tripping over those minefields in our being. So we want to change the harmonic structure of that information in the body, so that you're no longer at the behest, or not behest isn't the right word, but at the tail of the tiger. You're not being wagged by these experiences and sorrows and traumas and fears. So part of the major work is refamiliarizing yourself with the body of information and using your voice to awaken and open that. Because without really engaging our human voice, we are losing our opportunity to make choice. We don't have access to a greater breadth of understanding of who we are. So that's why it's key to go within. Number one, we're not going to be therapizing. I'm not going to be taking you through workshop experiences where you have to declare what you've been going through and what the issues are in your life. Instead, we are going to be moving right into a harmonic resolution, where you are able to use the tools on a regular basis to reset the information that you carry, so that you're no longer being driven by the perceptions that you've carried, but instead have access to the way you were naturally wired, and that's encoded in the cells. Without going into the body, without going to the motherboard, you don't have access through the intellectual construct. So that's what we're going to do in understanding how that mystery unfolds in my life. And it is experiential. It cannot be something I can teach you. I can only give you tools. And the tools I will give you, if you use them, I can guarantee you will make discovery that you have never imagined, that you will be led by in ways through your body environment, through your deeper energetic mystery, to ways that your world is going to change dramatically. I've seen it with many of the retreat, participants in the past. I hear from them from time to time, from students I've had through the years, of how their lives are changing and how they feel so much more empowered to make these decisions. Not that we put aside the intellectual awareness that we've garnered through the years, but we know how to integrate it now, so that symbols make have more meaning and value. Your dream states have more meaning and understanding. Your world starts to shimmer with new awareness because of sound.
And can you talk a little bit just about logistics? Like, for some people, they may not have been to the website yet and really have an understanding or a background. Can you just lay out why you've chosen to do it the way you have, and what that, how we come together and the modules and the time that we spend, and how that builds over time, and how there's a community created, and that this to wholeness encounter with sound is actually a foundational training that then goes on to the advanced work that you do. So just you just the lay of the land, so people have a better understanding of, if they decide to join us in this experience, what that looks like.
Yeah, very important. I have really spent a lot of time on paying attention to how this work is best integrated. And I've looked at convenience, where we could do something in a weekend or do something over a week-long retreat. And I've come to realize, Jen and I both have talked about this, that the body needs time to process and integrate this information. It's not something you can be nourished by on one weekend. You may be fed, but to be able to work with the homework that I'll be giving you and maintain that awareness and the practices that you will learn through to the next experience is going to be key in layering up each level of information that you're going to be able to absorb, because that's what we're doing. We're increasing your level of absorption of energy. We're helping to illuminate how your body receives your language, how your body processes and receives, but it also transmits information. So there are layers of energetic awareness, pardon me, that will be part of what you'll be observing through the 6 months that we're engaged. Many have wanted to jump right into becoming a practitioner, and believe you me, many do, and that's fine. This is really a refined experience where, if you understand who you are as an instrument, the quality of what you do in everything you do is going to be different. It's going to be exponentially increased to reflect a greater awareness of who you are. You could pick up a bowl and play a bowl and be a practitioner of a bowl. And it is not for me to judge what you're doing. And yet I have, over the years, begun to understand how refined this work is, and to create conditions for you as someone who is just maybe interested in doing your own personal work rather than professional work, this will have tremendous impact on anything you do, whether you're a yoga instructor, an accountant, a laborer, a healthcare worker, a elder care worker. It is everything in your life that will be changed and enhanced and will inspire you in new ways to do what you love to do best. And in some cases, I have found that people have found what they love to do. They didn't know how to access it because there was, they just were operating out of the shoulds of life, and how, you know, there is a protocol to living, and what to explore, and who am I to think I could do X, Y, or Z? Well, I am a living example of that. And never in a million years could have I imagined the life I'm living today. So that's why it takes that much time to integrate and to process. The other piece is the group work, because there is added reflection and value when you are engaging in a group setting, where there is where you see yourself wherever you are, and are able to expand on your work, and I would say grow as if in a hothouse. If you're a lily growing in a hothouse, or an orchid, you will bloom much faster in a group setting, and in a setting that's focused on this work. So when we move forward into the practitioner phase, and that's not for everyone who's going to be taking this training, but those who want to continue on, what you bring is an awareness of how to be the best possible instrument when you touch a bowl, when you put a bowl on a body, because when you do put a bowl on a body, you enter into a contract. You want to make sure you are completely void of an agenda, and you are an open channel of allowing the bowl and the person with whom you're working to have the interaction that they're destined to have. And all you're doing is making sure that that happens. So that takes practice. I've watched many of my students in the past really struggle because they think they know what it is to put a bowl on a body until they get the bowl on the body. And then they realize the body is a living energy that is doing all kinds of different things to the bowl energy. So you have to be an anchor and hold that space so that you bring the quality and the direction of sound into, around, and through that that person you're working on. So that's the nature of the second training, is understanding how to direct the energy through the bowl, how to work with the nuance of playing a bowl on a body, and how to be that open channel of non-involvement, but absolute energy engagement, so that the best possible outcome is achieved. And I always start that training with the understanding that nobody has asked us to heal them. Even though they think they did, that's not our job. We're not the healers, they are. So the work is then focused on allowing the person you're working with to access the information they have embedded already in every cell in their being. And it is in that way that they are able to have a deeper knowledge base that comes from experience and awareness, then knowledge, and ultimately wisdom. So I think I've covered it, but I'm not sure. Anything else in that?
Yeah, just what I want to say is, logistically, what that means is we gather in the middle of June for our first welcome call, and
Yeah.
then we meet 3 times in person. And right now, everything looks like it will be open. And, we have COVID measures in place. And if for some reason things shut down again or we spike, we will do the first module virtually. So there is a way that we can continue forward even if things shift. We're really riding the wave of the time we live in. But the idea is that we come together as a group of people 3 times throughout the year, and that we spend these deep, intensive weekends together, and then we meet in between with follow-up calls. And we also have a special bonus this year that you can add on to the experience, which is 3 private calls with Trish. So the training itself is $4,444. And then if you want to add a voice assessment, a private session with Trish, and then a follow-up completion session with her, we also now have that mentoring support added on as a bonus. And for any students who have taken this in the past and would like to retake it, we also have a really amazing $1,000 discount, just so we can get back into the work. And as you always talk about, we're always evolving, right? We are coming
Yeah.
to this work new every single time, and so we really honor people that are in our community and that want to continue to do the work. And so that bonus or that discount is available for people who have taken any of the year-long trainings before.
Beautiful. Yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
Do any of you have any questions right now that are surfacing for you?
Yeah, you can feel free to raise your hand or just unmute yourselves. We have a pretty small group here, and you also can write questions in the chat. And if you haven't been to the website yet, I will also just ask Safa, since you're on, if you would just be willing to put the link to the retreat in the chat box for us, that would be really helpful.
Yeah.
Thank you. And that way everyone will have access to be able to check that out. So any questions?
One of the questions that has come up with me from others is, does it have to be paid in one lump sum? And the answer is no. We can break it out into payments so that that's a little more convenient for you. There is a deposit, a non-refundable deposit, unless we have to change or cancel it, not change, but cancel the entire event, then your deposit will be refunded. Yet if you change it, it will not. If you decide that you can't do it for some reason, there is no refund.
Yeah. And so just the dates that we meet in person are June 25th through 27th. The second dates are September 18th, 19th, and 20th, I believe. And then November 4th, 5th, and 6th. Pretty sure those are the dates for 2021.
That sounds about right. They can go onto the website to confirm.
And if you have any questions, you can also email, Trish. You can just respond to the email that you got with the link to this call, and feel free to ask her any personal questions. Is there any final reflections you have, Trish, before we wrap up?
Well, I am excited about this particular group because of COVID. There is there's a massive shift in awareness that's occurring. And I think an experience such as this can really foster an understanding of your own personal resilience, as well as your capacity to dip into your own inner resources and healing potential within your own body. Because now it seems like the surface layers have been pulled back. We can see where we're misaligned. We're not lining up with our passion in a way that we feel called. We want to feel called. We are not feeling our physical bodies in the ways that we want to feel, and we know we can. There is just so many layers of emotional, spiritual, energetic, and physical health that are we now are aware of. And I find that will really have an added dimension to what we're going to be exploring, because you're coming with a readiness and an understanding that that debris has fallen away, and now there's much more opportunity to start to cultivate a new landscape within you. So I think that's going to be an interesting group. We have some fabulous people already signed up who have been working with sound and yet are new to exploring this work, and a couple who are not necessarily working with sound, but are poised to learn, because they feel the call. They recognize sound has greater importance than we've ever considered in our modern lives. So yeah, I think it's going to be an exciting assemblage of extraordinary people.
Well, and that's another thing I want to mention, that this is a very intimate group. There are only 10
Yeah.
participants that are allowed in, and so 4 of those spaces have already been taken. And we're really, holding this call and doing the other outreach so that we can call in those other 6 people who want to travel deeply and be a part of this experience with us this year. So, and that it really is a group that we're all contributing, that everything that each person brings is part of the development of where the work is able to go and where it takes us. I really love that about this experience. Great. Well, I guess if that's everything, then we can say thank you for those of you who joined us live, and thank you to everyone who may be listening to the recording. And we will definitely follow up with an email and make it really easy for you to get in touch if you have any more questions or want to take next steps with us.
Thank you so much for joining us, and for opening up your world to even more possibilities for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Very interesting.
You're welcome.
All right, we're closing out then. Bye.
Bye.